Thank you. I'd like to thank the four members of the panel. It's really hard because I have to make a question to each of the panel members. And it's kind of hard for me because I have so many questions in mind. First, Agustin just showed the increase in areas and in production. As a first approach, would be crop rotation. So we have a more balanced crop rotation, 50% oil seeds or soybean. What's your view point on, as you said, we have grown 10% in terms of area, and now the rate is decreasing. You showed rates of 1-2% in the future. Do you have a similar outlook? Definitely. We agreed that in the short and long term, we are expecting a higher growth in the yield more than in the area, but we can still grow a lot in the area sector. I think it was 9 million hectares a few years back. And in Argentina, 100 years ago, Argentina planted 2 million more hectares. So this would be approaching a production of 30 million. But we believe that increase in surface or areas will depend, it could take longer if it ever happened. And it has to do with boosting production, rotation that proved to work fine. I think we're very satisfied with this crop rotation and having an extra revenue in mid-year. But I think the key driver, from my point of view, is having market, how the seeding intention changed, and a strong or a big increase or boost. I think that, and I think this is the reason for this, the whole reason for this country, having an opportunity to have access to other markets. So 1-2%. Similar to what was presented. Agustin, I'd like to connect what you presented with something else you're doing at the exchange, which is the implementation of technologies. So you just presented some technologies and the impact of the different scenarios you considered, but I'd like to focus on those technologies that the future technologies that would evolve more rapidly, not only in terms of impact. Can we kind of reach a conclusion and just say which would be the technologies that would evolve better and faster? Well, we use RETA, which is this program, and when we speak about technologies, we are not speaking only about inputs technology, but also processes and management. I think as regards inputs, we'll have some important developments in the next 10 years. For example, better technologies in seeds that would allow us to increase areas. But I believe that it is in the management and process technologies where we can have the biggest leap in terms of yields in the next 10 years. And by this I mean agricultural 4.0 or precision agriculture, so better use of inputs to have an increase in yields, to have a more efficient management of each plot of land in each of the farms. and to have not only financial benefits but also sustainable benefits that, as you mentioned, is really key as we think about future markets. Thank you. Silvina, you just you talked about this gap or challenge, tremendous gap, about the possibility of having better quality weeds, considering everything it takes to reach that point. Now, I think that we have to do it slowly, right? Because the prices, I mean, markets will have to pay some price for this. So I'll focus on what I would call the floor. I mean, our worst season was in 2016, I think, and this should be our concern as reliable suppliers. You know, considering these low quality scenarios, what you showed about the proteins. I mean, we don't want that to happen anymore because we'll be jeopardizing our future opportunities. But do you think that this scenario is, less likely to take place? Yes, absolutely. This 2016, 15, 16, with low levels of proteins on dry substances and other quality issues, that's kind of our worst picture. That picture was taken with the wrong camera, based on the policies that were defined at that time and the tools farmers had to obtain quality. The government back then did not really encourage wheat production, and from there we should understand that the agroecological potential is there and the technological gap is beginning to close. So I'm convinced that these low levels were present back then, but there are no possible scenarios, or future scenarios. And let's expect that buyers have the same view. Gustavo, you talked about advantages of diversification, not only as suppliers but from the client's perspectives. And also the challenge that these new markets, as they diversify, they have different requirements because each customer would have a particular set of requirements. So on the one hand, we have a more diversified demand as regards quality requirements, and on the other hand, we also saw in other presentations the natural advantages, the technology we're implementing. This could lead to the production of quality, high quality wheat. So we have like two ends, a trend, which is what you've shown about quality differentiation, and on the other hand, farmers that could actually supply these different qualities. So how far are we from having an efficient or transparent chain and that can be sustained a long time? The chain has proved to be very responsive, and I think that the growth condition in terms of quality and volume has to do with only one thing, which is public policies, and two main factors, quite straightforward, at least to put them forward. The first factor is the commitment of any government not to have any restrictions or tax burdens, and the second is a tax policy that does not compromise exports. This will create the necessary conditions. For example, in logistics, we need to improve the logistics chain. We need to have a segregation to ensure quality in terms of stocks, stocking facilities. But all of these factors will also be associated to the new varieties. They need to have this ensured. And the only thing to provide this stability, we all agree that this is what we have to encourage. Thank you. Thank you very much.